So good evening everyone and welcome to this conference with le Cercle des Langues. Today we are going to be discussing writing meeting minutes, appropriate structure and vocabulary. So today's conference is for level B1 to B2 English. A quick reminder that if you would like me to send you the conference, please put your email address into the chat. Like that, I can send you the PDF of the conference just after we have completed this evening's conference. The conference will last for 25 minutes. And for the last 5 minutes, we will have an answer and question and answer session, which means you are then able to ask certain questions or make certain comments if you have any difficulty with the vocabulary or there is something that you didn't understand. So please put those questions either on a piece of paper or put them into the chat and we can begin. So tonight's conference has 4 parts. We will be talking about writing meeting minutes, the introduction. What is the appropriate structure for writing your minutes? What is the vocabulary for minutes for the meeting? And writing meeting minutes advice. So what are short tips or things that we can give you when it comes to writing the minutes of a meeting? As I said before, please have a notebook and pen handy so you can make notes to review later on. So let's begin. Writing meeting minutes. The definition of meeting minutes, it's during a meeting, a corporate secretary or other employees take meeting notes, also known as meeting minutes. The notes of the last meeting outline the crucial topics for discussion, motions to be proposed or voted on, and tasks to be executed. The primary objective of preparing minutes is to document the meeting's discussions and decisions. Given the rising role of virtual board meetings, it's necessary to put systems in place to prevent board meetings from ambling and halting everyone's productivity for the day. Thus, corporate secretary or other employee duties include taking effective meeting minutes to save time for meeting participants at committee meetings. So when we are talking about ambling and halting, to summarize, we mean that because many meetings are now done online, we really want to focus on the main points and be able to complete the meeting as quick as possible. And that being said, taking minutes can allow us after the meeting to go back and review what was said without being in a meeting and having the same questions repeated or people asking to explain again. So these minutes help us be more efficient in how we approach our meetings. With a strategy and proper preparation, the process of note-taking will be straightforward. So what is the structure? What should we do when taking notes, when taking minutes? There are 5 major processes involved in keeping minutes of a meeting. Can you think of one? If you can, let's put it in the chat. What could be 5 major processes involved in keeping minutes in a meeting? So even if it's not correct, why don't you try to guess? and put it into the chat for us. Okay, so because it can be quite challenging, let's have a look. Oh, so Rashida says to be present. Okay, that's quite interesting. Let's have a look. So, the 5 major processes for taking minutes in an accurate fashion is number 1, pre-planning. Number 2, record taking. Number 3, note taking or transcription. Number 4, distributing meeting minutes. And saving historical records for future reference. So let's have a look at these in a little more detail. Let's discuss how to do the following. So the first thing is you create an outline. You use your agenda items to prepare an outline for your meeting minutes and fill in the list of meeting attendees. This makes the process of creating an agenda, assigning speakers, and recording the meeting content much easier. So the first point is we create an outline of our meeting. The second way the second tip is we check off attendees as they enter. When creating minutes for a meeting, you check off attendees as they enter the room or the virtual room if your meeting is online, to ensure you do not miss anyone. Previous meeting notes. Include references from earlier meeting minutes, like previous meeting minutes with action items that have been revised, a summary of previous meeting notes, and items that will extend into the current meeting as action items. Okay, Barbara, you said there is no sound. I'm not quite sure why, but unfortunately I have to carry on with the conference. Maybe if you try logging out or logging in or just checking on your sound settings. Okay, I hope that we can fix the problem for you. So just to give a quick recap, the previous meeting notes includes the references from earlier meeting minutes. This also helps us to keep structure in the meeting. Number 4, do not write everything down. When making meeting notes, only write down important and relevant information. And number 5, record the important meetings. That means that we need to keep a record of what has been done. And the best way to keep track of meetings is to record it on your iPad, on your smartphone, or other recording device, and inform the participants. This is a very important part. We need to inform the participants that the meeting is being recorded, as to have their permission. Recordings can be useful even if you already know how to take notes for the meeting. Number 6, put down meeting minutes as they are discussed. Instead of waiting until the meeting is over, write your observations down while the notes are still fresh in your mind. Number 7, review with attendees at the end of the meeting. So at the end of the meeting, review the MUM, so the minutes of meeting, with attendees to clarify any issues, add any additional information, and check to see that everything is correct. Number 8, revise your notes and fix any spelling errors. Revise the notes Fix any spelling errors and make sure they are clearly written, because maybe some people decide to just write very quickly or type very quickly, and you could find that there are errors. So it is always very important that we revise our notes to make sure it's accurate and that there are no mistakes. What vocabulary is important when we are taking the minutes of a meeting? Words such as agenda, a list of topics or issues to be discussed in a meeting. Usually, it is sent to participants before the meeting and repeated once more while opening the meeting. A chairperson or a chair. This is the person who leads or prescribes the meeting. It's important that we have a chairperson or a chair, as it will allow the meeting to have a lot more structure. And structure is important for us to cover important topics and end the meeting as promptly as possible. Minutes. The official written record of the meeting, which includes key decisions and action items. To convene. To convene means to gather for a meeting. So we have all convened here tonight for the conference. To schedule. To arrange a meeting for a specific time and place. A conference call. A telephone call involving more than 2 participants. And a video conference, it is a meeting held over video, allowing participants to see each other. Some more vocabulary for our meetings. We talk about a quorum. It's the minimum number of members who must be present for the meeting's decisions to be valid. A motion. It's a formal proposal put to a vote. Adjourn, to officially end the meeting. An AOB, any other business, a term used towards the end of a meeting to allow participants to raise additional topics. Consensus, a general agreement among the meeting participants. Unanimous, a decision or vote where every member agrees. And a point of order, it's an interjection to question the process, usually when someone believes the rules of the meeting are not being followed. Key phrases that are important, for example, could be welcome to the meeting. It's great to see such commitment and enthusiasm. I appreciate your presence and active participation in today's meeting. Let's begin by addressing the first item on our agenda. I trust everyone had a chance to review the pre-meeting materials. Let's jump right into discussing our action points. So these key phrases are very useful when opening a meeting. It creates the grounds for the discussions to begin. Another vocabulary stop. We can look at the word seconded. It is a term used when another member supports a motion proposed by someone else. Open floor. It is a term used when all participants are invited to speak or share their ideas. Off the record. A comment or discussion that is not to be officially recorded or publicly reported. roll call, the reading out of names to record attendance. Interruptions, breaking the continuous course of a speech or action of someone, typically with a comment or a question. So now that we have covered our vocabulary, we are now going to look at writing meeting minutes and what kind of advice can help us improve. So what should be included? We need to include the meeting details, the agenda items, decisions and action items, our rationale and the context. And then what are our next steps? What are we going to be doing moving forward? We tend to not include, so do not include, personal opinions, transcriptions, which mean saying what someone has said word for word. It is time consuming to write and time consuming to read. Excessive detail is also not necessary. Irrelevant side conversations and incomplete or inaccurate information. What to include when writing meeting minutes? We need to include the meeting basics like name, place, date, and time. Your name could include the reason for the meeting. For example, 2025 budget review. It is a title that if we have to go back and read up, we will understand exactly what the meeting was about. The second thing would be our list of meeting participants. The third part will be our meeting purpose. So every staff meeting minutes sample should have one central goal. Number 4, your agenda items. A great sample of staff meeting minutes should include all the agenda items that were addressed at the meeting. Number 5, your next meeting date and place. Number 6, documents to be included in the meeting report. You might have additional meeting documents that you'll want to attach to your report. And number 7, key action items. Most teams end meeting minutes with action items describing steps that must be taken to meet project goals. So here is what a template would look like. You can see there we've got our project name, attendees, who are the people who are coming to the meeting, and the date and the time. As we said before, you could add the place just to give a little bit more detail. Then we have our agenda, which is our topics to discuss, the objective, and the key points. Some notes could be any additional important information discussed during the meeting. Our outcomes, that means what were the key decisions that were taken in our meeting. And then our action items. What are we going to do moving forward? We state the name of the person responsible, next step, and the next person who is responsible and what is their step. So in summary, create an outline or use a meeting minutes template. Check off your attendees as they enter. Number 3, take notes of the action items and decisions. Number 4, don't write everything down. So stick to the important information, and we can leave out side conversations and unimportant conversations that have happened. Put down meeting. Number 5, excuse me. Don't forget to record your meeting. Obviously, it's very important that we ask the permission of the people in the meeting. Put down meeting minutes as they are discussed. Review with attendees at the end of the meeting. Revise your notes and fix any spelling errors. So thank you for watching this evening's conference. Would you like to make any comments, or do you have any questions on this evening's conference? You are now more than welcome to unmute your microphones. No? Is everyone clear? That's wonderful. So as I have said, the conference will be sent to you after this. When we're done with the conference, I will send you the PDF. Feel free to look at all the vocabulary and feel free to see what you could use to make taking minutes slightly easier for you. Christelle says, thank you for this conference. For me, these are the vocabularies useful for writing a meeting report. Absolutely, Christelle. This is all the vocabulary you will need. So it was my absolute pleasure to host this conference for you this evening, and I will see you next week. So thank you, everyone, and have a good evening.